It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 1029 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to City Beat here on 1029 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter and my guest this morning is Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
The waiving of fees policy was the topic of the Special Recreation Committee meeting that took place late last month. And the theme that I got from what came out of that meeting is that not everyone and all the groups in town are fully clear as to what the new policy is. Could you explain the new policy and the reasoning behind it?
Sure. Last year we waived over $70,000 in rental fees for our facilities, and trying to reduce our or increase our revenues. The policy was reviewed at the rec meeting and then passed at council. And basically, what happened was that they asked for more notice. In the past, we've got a notice for rental of a facility or equipment a week before the event, and our staff are already allocated to do other work, and so it's a no-win situation. So we implemented a 90-day notice prior to the event to qualify for the 50% refunding of the fees if you're a nonprofit organization. And so that was the discussion, and we've had a few bumps in regards to relaying that information out. It has been recirculated out to all the user groups, and people should know that if they're planning an event where they think they qualify for a reduction in fees or rental of equipment, that they should mark down 90 days prior to the event. We need to have that application in, otherwise we can't consider it.
One of the resolutions at the last meeting of City Council had to do with funding for the one-stop drop facility that the city is planning to build. Could you explain again what the one-stop drop is? It came up a while back and hasn't really been in the public's attention as much as other things recently. And could you also talk about why it's important and where some of the funding will be coming from?
Sure. So normally we have an annual disposal of hazardous goods and waste. We used to do it where the companies would come in and set up a trailer at the TRCC or a different site, and it would happen once a year. Now, with funding from the province of Manitoba, we've been able to sustain some funding and some storage facilities at the landfill, and that we'll be able to operate year-round, and not only for batteries and used oil and things like that, but it's the whole thing encompassing. So the landfill is increasing its usage from that perspective, and also saving that type of material getting into the landfill. And so that's the reasoning that we're moving to a one-stop shop.
There was a letter from Manitoba Sustainable Development on the agenda for the last planning district meeting, which took place before the last city council meeting, and the letter had to do with the expansion of boundaries with some provincial parks, including Paint Lake and Peace Falls. Why is that a letter that came to the city, and why are they looking for your input?
Well, basically, they are looking to protecting more areas around the existing parks from a forestry, mining, and hydro type of developments, and so that's the information that we've received. Also, it aligns with our application through Thompson 2020 to expand cottage lot development in the parks and surrounding the parks. So there's a dual conversation happening there. So it's more of an informational, seeking input in regards to the impacts of the boundary expansion to our surrounding area.
Also on the agenda and at the planning district meeting, there was a letter from an assistant to the Minister of Municipal Relations, Jeff Wharton, saying that the province will be looking into the city's request to amend the planning district to include both NCN and Tatasqueyac Cree Nation as voting members. The letter concluded with the assistant saying, and this is quoting what he said, "I would implore you and your colleagues to communicate government business through official channels and to wait further correspondence." What message does that send to the city and the planning district, given that it's not normally something that's included at the end of a letter from the government?
Well, this resulted in some comments being made by certain councillors in regards to government policies that they had either discussed at a non-government event and then relayed back to council or relayed back to members of the provincial government. And so got into the I think conversations instead of the I know conversations. We do have an official process for dialogue between the province and the city of Thompson, and they're just asking us to follow that. But I would also ask that the province follow the same practice in that conveying direct correspondence to the city of Thompson and not through other sources.
There's a lot of construction. Even though summer looks like it's coming to an end, it was a bit chilly recently. A lot of people have noticed that there is something going on in the city center parking lot. What's happening there?
Well, and this is part of the big discussion, the bigger discussion in the sustainability of our community. This year, there is over $160 million combined private and public investment in our community. The new construction that you're seeing in the city center parking lot is the new liquor store that will be finished next year. And so it's across the street of as everybody can see, is the McDonald's restoration of where they took down the existing building or rebuilding into the new format. So there's lots of construction happening in Thompson, and it's a positive sign. Just had a comment yesterday from a local resident who didn't realize how much was happening in Thompson given the circumstances, and that's the message we've been trying to get out, that although that we've had a downturn in the economy from the mining sector and the mining sector only, this community is sustainable in the other areas of transportation and commerce and health and education, and so we're seeing expansion in those areas, and we look forward to more expansion next year as well.
What's the latest update on the wastewater treatment plant? That's the big ticket item that the city is currently working on.
Well, we've done a pretty good job in regards to our website, thompson.ca. There's a photo essay in regards to the progress of the water treatment plant. I can say that so far we're on plan, we're on budget. It's scheduled to be finished in mid 2019. You're starting to see physical structure now. For the first little while, it was all in the ground and underground, and so now you're seeing stuff that is above ground, and structure-wise, you can actually see it from the bridge if you're looking to the east, and so that's a good news story as well.
And the last bit on construction, when will the work on Station Road start? I know on the other side of the lights on Selkirk there, that was probably the thing that impacted the most people last year in terms of the general population. When will the work on the other side start?
I believe they'll be mobilizing after the long weekend, and so mid-August the work will be starting, and I believe we're targeted to end by the end of September.
I noticed yesterday that city crews are out painting lines for the crosswalks. Is this work all done now, or is there still more to do?
No, I noticed this morning there's still a couple on Thompson Drive across from the library to complete. So I think we're getting close to having all of the crosswalks painted. So that's good news as long as the weather cooperates.
And then there are a few events there that we should mention as well.
Sure. The Health and Leisure Mart, I see the ads are on radio and in the paper now. This is our big event in the September, second weekend in September, where basically Thompson is cyclical in organizing your kids' activities and your own activities, and this is the place to be if you're a newcomer to Thompson and you want to find out what's happening. It's held at the TRCC on the second weekend in September, and any organization that wants to be part of that with tables and registration should be contacting the Recreation Department at TRCC at 204-677-7952 to get your table. And for the general public, make sure you mark that on your calendar because it's a great weekend.
And then there's also, I believe it's on the same weekend, there will be another job fair.
Yes, this is an initiative, again, under Thompson 2020, Northern Job Fair Economic Opportunities presentation, the second one of the year. And it's an opportunity for those that are affected by the Valley reduction in workforce, not only Valley employees, but all potential employees in our community that are looking for jobs. There's lots of employment from the service sector, from truck driving services and other services in our community. So if you're looking for a job and want to enter the workforce, that's a great place to come down. Again, it's a busy weekend. You'll get lots of information and hopefully out of that bring your resume and see what you can find.
And then finally, it's the August long weekend starting tomorrow. Could you give us an update on what will be open and what will be closed when it comes to the city of Thompson?
Yeah, so the City of Thompson facilities will be closed on Monday for the holiday, and so that's a normal practice. And again, the big push in regards to long weekend, as it is every long weekend, is no, don't drink and drive. There will be extra enforcement on this weekend, so be sure that if you're traveling to the lake or you're heading out on holidays, that you're not drinking and driving, that you travel safe and you plan your trips. Let people know where you're going, when you should be arriving, and when you'll be back, and make sure that that you travel safe.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to CHTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 1029 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.